And welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. This is my preview episode, my 5 keys to victory for Fulham against Nottingham Forest on Wednesday night at Craven Cottage. I'm actually recording this several hours before the match, so I have a lot to say in a very short period of time. This show will be about 15 minutes. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. I do want to mention in preparation for this upcoming match, I listened to a couple of, I would say, really good Nottingham Forest podcasts. One of them I just want to mention. Forest Focus, I thought was really good, gave me some good insight to what is going on with Nottingham Forest. So if you get a chance, listen to their preview of this upcoming match if you're looking for the opposition view from a Nottingham Forest perspective. Okay. So before I go through my 5 keys to victory, I just want to share my thoughts on Nottingham Forest. And I'll be talking about the manager to start off. I'm a big fan of Steve Cooper. I think he is a quality manager, high quality manager. Fulham currently sit 14th and Nottingham Forest are 15th, 2 points back. But the way that both clubs are built are very different. Let's look at how Nottingham Forest are built. They brought in a ton of players. So when you're Steve Cooper, I think you struggle to find what is your best starting 11. What is your best team? I think this has been part of the problem with Nottingham Forest. Too many players. Fulham, I don't think, have enough players. So you have two different ways of building your club. So for me, when I look at Steve Cooper, who I think is a high quality manager, and as I mentioned on this podcast, it sounds like that Cooper is under some pressure. And I understand it. I think there is this cottage industry to basically talk about the manager in some media outlets. And I think part of it puts a lot of pressure on the manager, especially when they start losing or not doing as well as they should. Steve Cooper, I'm not a Nottingham Forest supporter, should be their manager the entire season. I'll say it right now, but there is already pressure for him to get sacked, which I think is ridiculous. It happened last season. It's now happening this season. I think when you give them all of these players, it's difficult to put together a pretty cohesive team. I watched that against Everton. I thought Nottingham Forest were all over the place. It didn't seem like a unit, whereas Everton actually did. Everton set up, I wouldn't say just like Fulham, but similar in some ways. Marco Silva is definitely different than Deitch, and I think the Nottingham Forest supporters will see that in this match today. But I think that you'll see crosses in the box. I think you'll see a lot of wing play. That I think is similar. Beyond that, I think the philosophy is different. But when I look at Nottingham Forest, I just think that he's been given, I'm talking about Steve Cooper, too much to do with too big of a squad. And I just watched that match, and I've seen them a few times, and I see the talent that they have, but can they bring it all together? Can he find a cohesive unit? And I think that's what's going on with them. So if you're not a Nottingham Forest supporter, I just want to say, I hope you back your manager, and I hope he stays for the entire season. I think he's a quality manager. I think it would be a huge mistake to sack Steve Cooper. That's just my thoughts on that. And we'll see what ends up happening. And because I know that if things don't go well in the next few matches, he'll be under more and more pressure. And I have a feeling things won't go his way tonight, but that's my opinion. I'll share why I feel that way in my 5 keys to victory. So let's start with number 5 for Fulham. And this comes off of the last 2 matches. Fulham played on the front foot against Wolves. I thought they came into the match against Liverpool. So for me, against a team that is struggling like Nottingham Forest are, number 5 is simple. Play on the front foot and get that early goal. Now, I could say that each and every week, but I think it is vital against a team that's struggling. Fulham have played very well against the teams around them. I expect them to play well tonight, but they have to have the mindset to take it to Nottingham Forest and just play on the front foot and do what you can to get that early goal. Because I think if you get that early goal, I think that's going to really put you into a good situation to get all 3 points and put Nottingham Forest under even more pressure. When I was listening to the episode, to the match for Fulham against Liverpool, the talk at the end was, well, how would this affect Fulham? Would it have a negative effect that they lost 4-3? And I'm taking the opposite view. I think it's going to have a huge positive effect, because if you're going to Anfield and you have a chance to win, even though you lost against a team with superior talent, I think you can build on that. You can build on the Wolves match. So I think Fulham are going to play on the front foot, and hopefully they will get that early goal. That's why that's my number 5 key to victory. Number 4 is going to be interesting, and it's a similar one that I have most every week. Number 4 is Marco Silva needs to win the coaching battle. Now, this is twofold. As I'm listening to these podcasts that talk about Nottingham Forest, they're throwing it out there that potentially Steve Cooper might play with a back 3. That would be interesting. Fulham have struggled against a back 3. However, they played well against Wolves, who played a back 3. So I think they've figured that out. But what I mean winning the coaching battle is that if for some reason Steve Cooper changes things up, Marco Silva is going to have to adjust. So we'll see how this goes, because I think it's not just about his selection in the starting 11. It's about being prepared for adjustments that might need to be made during the match. He needs to outcoach Steve Cooper. Like I said, I have a lot of respect for Steve Cooper, but the decisions that Marco makes, I think, will be vital in this match. Will he have to make adjustments? Will he need to make changes during the match? He probably will, and the timing of that will be important as well. So Marco Silva needs to win the coaching battle. That's why that's my number 4. Number 3, the fullbacks have to be two-way players in this match. Now, the one thing I can say about Nottingham Forest, that they are a good counterattacking team. So Jedi, who I expect to play Anthony Robinson, and I'm going to say Kenny Tete is going to play as well. It might be Castagna. In either player who plays, they're going to have to be two-way players, because they're going to have to get forward, because Fulham have gotten the most joy when their fullbacks are aggressive going forward, but they're going to have to get back. They're going to have to support those two center backs, which do have a mistake in them. So for me, Jedi, who played very well against Mo Salah, I'm challenging you to do the same exact job in this match. Go forward, but get back and do your defensive duties. Please do your defensive duties. If it's Kenny Tete or Castagna, I feel more confident on the two-way player mentality. I'm a little bit more concerned about Jedi. So the fullbacks have to be two-way players. That's why that's my number 3. Number 2, and this is going to be an interesting one because it's going to deal with selection. But I think for Fulham to win the match, they're going to have to control central midfield. Number 2, Fulham need to win the central midfield battle. And I think that Nottingham Forest will have some good players in central midfield. But we know what Fulham have in central midfield with Paulinho. If Paulinho can get control in central midfield, that will go a long way for Fulham to get all 3 points. But who is he going to play with? Is it going to be Harrison Reed? Is it going to be Iwobi? Is it going to be Sasa Lukic, Pereira, Kearney? A lot of choices here. So whoever partners in that 3 with Paulinho need to do their job. So this is going to be interesting because I know Paulinho is going to do his job. Who are going to be the other 2 players with him? And I'll talk about what I would do and what I hope Marco does with the midfield 3. But they need to win the central midfield battle. I think that's vital to getting all 3 points. Coming up next is my number 1 key to victory for Fulham against Nottingham Forest. My starting 11, what I think Marco will do, and I'll end with my prediction for the match. Okay, my number 1 key to victory for Fulham is this. With a team like Nottingham Forest, you cannot afford to make a mistake in a match like this. That is very important to both sides. The center backs must play mistake-free football. And that's something to really question, because love Tim Ream. I've said this before. I don't know if Tim Ream can consistently play at a high level in the Premier League anymore. I want him to prove me wrong. I expect him to play. I expect that Calvin Bassey will play in this match. I wouldn't do that, but the two of them cannot make any mistakes, give life to Nottingham Forest. I think that is their way to getting something out of this match, a mistake from our center backs. So for me, whether it is Tim Ream and Bassey, whether it's Tim Ream and Tosin, I would like it to be Tosin and Bassey. I'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes. They need to play mistake-free football. If they do not only could they come away with just a point, they might lose this match. So the center backs to me are the biggest question in this match. I have no question about Bernd Leno. I don't. My big question has to do with that center back pairing, and it'll continue to unless Marco decides to change it up at some point. But he goes with Tim Ream. He's very loyal, I think sometimes to a fault. So for me, whoever is playing at center back needs to play mistake-free football, or Fulham could be in trouble. I'm just going to say it. That's why that's my number one key to victory. Okay, let's go to my starting 11. This is what I would do. I'm going to go with Bernd Leno. I will go with Kenny Tete, Anthony Robinson. Initially, I actually told my friend Tony Gold that I would go with Bassey and Ream. I'm actually going to change that up, and I'm going to say I would go with Bassey and Tosin. That's not what Marco's going to do, but that's what I would do. On the left, I am going to go, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to go with Iwobi. On the right, Harry Wilson. In the middle, Paulinho, Reed, Kearney. And up front, I'm going to go with Jimenez. That's what I would do. What I think Marco is going to do is this. Now, I could be wrong. I think he's going to go with Leno, Tete, Robinson. I think he'll go with Tim Ream and Bassey. In the middle, I think he's going to go, this is what I think he's going to do. I think he'll go with Paulinho, Iwobi, and Pereira. I think he'll go Willian on the left. I think he'll go Wilson on the right, and then Jimenez up front. That's what I think he's going to do. I think the big question for Marco will be in central midfield. He might go Kearney. I want him to go Kearney. I think Marco should go Kearney in this match to get control of that central midfield in that number 10 role, to be the facilitator. I want Kearney to start in this match. I hope Marco goes it, but I have a feeling it's going to be Pereira. Let's see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. Okay, to end the show, I'm going to share my prediction. And my prediction is this. I've heard a lot of predictions for this match, many going with a 1-1 draw. I understand that. I would understand if Nottingham Forest supporters are predicting a victory in this match. Fulham have played very well against the teams around them. They are now starting to score goals. I think they've all figured out how to play with each other. Even if Jimenez doesn't score, I think he will play a huge role in Fulham scoring goals. I'm going for a 3-1 Fulham victory. I think that Nottingham Forest will score, but I feel confident going into this match. Not just from the last match, but from the match prior at Craven Cottage against Wolves. I think Fulham are going to win, and I think they're going to win 3-1. I'm feeling good about this match. That's my prediction. Okay. As always, please do subscribe on YouTube and Apple Podcast. It does help other Fulham supporters find us. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Cottage Talk. My name is Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the talkSPORT Fan Network.